We have been living together for about 3 years. A Danish family lives a few houses down the road. It's a lot of fun, and when we meet, we always chat and know each other by name. We moved before my sister was born, so they kept asking for babies and loved seeing them. We used to eat at home. They had an older family visit this summer, probably between 50 and 60 years old. We spotted him right away because he always traveled long distances and was very slow. One evening, the mother of the family recognized him as his father. He had recently moved and was going to stay with them for a while before heading north to his sister. Had just arrived in America and spoke little English to get by. The looked nice enough, but as soon as we walked in, I told my husband that made me feel weird. I've never heard anything like this from the other 7 members of the house. I went to their house and had dinner with them. They are very sweet and welcome. My husband also told me he looked young, but we traced that back to the culture. Let's fast forward to the moon. Everyone came to visit at the same time, including my mother and my mother. They are setting out with our son. I'm running because I'm pregnant and have severe morning sickness. When I come back 10 minutes later, they are talking bad to the guy. One of them tried to take her to the store and ask for money using her EBD food stamp card to buy food. They both told him they weren't interested, but he kept asking and delaying. When I got out, I called my husband to come out, and he saw us quickly leaving. Our parents told us what had happened and how difficult it was to live with them. Over the next few days, I saw him walking around, and we always talked about simple pleasures. But whenever I walked around, he took it as a sign for me to come over and try to chat. I started telling him what he was doing. Our parents were totally unacceptable, and the coercion was totally unnecessary. He said he understood, but he would be late. This was always the case when I tried to put my child in his car seat and take him to school. It took me about 11 minutes to get over the idea that I couldn't talk, so he slowly walked down the street. I finally reached the place where I would check if had passed in front of our house on his morning walk before heading out. I really hate bad talk. When I finished taking my son to the car and got into it always felt like I was turning the corner. I waved, quickly jumped to my feet and left. I really felt that you were waiting for me. One of our neighbors across the street told me that gave him a strange feeling and that he was always late. He said that the people outside did the same thing to him. To avoid all this, they decided to hang out in the back with the kids. I usually work from home now, but one day when I came into the office, the public was immediately notified by the camera, too. This man was watching her from our kitchen window. I could hear our pit bull roaring. He backed away when he saw our dog, so I asked if I could help you using the microphone. What do you want? He looked completely surprised and hurried away. I called my husband and told him to play the video. We all thought he was a reptile. Whenever we saw a family going out at night, we decided to take their daughter with us. He talked to his father and said that such a thing had never happened. Inside, he shows her a video on his phone and says she must have gotten lost. The girl looks very angry about everything. Now I got weird. I calmed down a little. Then I realized that his daughter was very angry with him. Behavior and a very heated conversation took place while walking. He then told me that he liked being more friendly and that it didn't really mean anything, but that he had talked to him and he would leave us alone. Since he kept disappearing, I asked him if he had a mental problem or Alzheimer's. He said no, and said he did this all the time and couldn't wait until her sister was ready to be sent north. There were a few other neighbors who complained to him and the owners association. 2 months later, I dropped my son off at primary school. I came home and I have to hurry because I feel very sick. I usually leave my car door open, but when I got out, something told me to lock the door. I did this as I sped forward. I usually leave the door open when I want to throw a quick, but my instincts tell me to close the top and bottom. While I was in the bathroom outside the front door, my life, here I was, screaming at the front door. The man turns to cover the back. Indeed, my ring shines, and I look among the mountains. What do you know? He is an old man, and he is trying to break into our house. I go to the microphone and say, "You are in the wrong house," and he answers, "Together, let me go in now. I want to tell you something. Now I'm taking you with me." This is the best English sentence I have ever heard from someone who is not good at English. I quickly began to feel better and was now awake. I answered him, "What do you want to tell me?" He looked directly at the camera. "Leave him at home." This is where I start to panic. He knew he was in the wrong house, but he kept trying and breaking. I answer, "Please get off my property. I don't feel comfortable here, and I won't let you enter my house." Then he started hitting very hard again, trying to open the door, and started knocking on the bathroom window. This is where I get angry. "Now get out of my damaged goods. I won't let you. If you don't get out of here now, I'll call the police." Then he stepped back, showed his middle finger to the camera, and ran away. He disappears, and I run upstairs to see him return home. I released our bull from our room because was going crazy during the trial. I called my husband, and he told me to call the girl and tell her what happened. I called him and told him what happened, and he told me that I would never let him. He started telling me that he wasn't fit and strong against all the women in his family, and that he didn't want me to get hurt, especially if I was pregnant. After an hour, he finally comes, and I show him the video. He is wide awake and very apologetic and asks me not to call the police on. He assures me that he will leave tomorrow. The next day, when he finished flying, his daughter told him that he was no longer at home. He currently lives somewhere in northern Maryland with his other daughter and has probably abused others as well. I honestly don't know what would have happened if I hadn't followed my instincts that day. I'm really glad I'm okay. A story that happened to me when I was studying in the 3rd grade. This is the end of today's story.